God love you all about Shem Yahushua. I'm gonna start out by saying it up praise to the elders and apostles of Great Millstone, even to the sincere brothers and sisters out there that's in the truth. Um, Today's lesson is gonna be regarding reincarnation. So I'm gonna start by saying going to 2 Kings chapter 2. We'll read 1 all the way to 18. 2 Kings chapter 2 verse 1. And it came to pass when the Lord would take up Elijah into heaven by a whirlwind, that Elijah went with Elisha from Gilgal. And Elijah said unto Elisha, Tarry here, I pray thee, for the Lord hath sent me to Bethel. And Elisha said unto him, As the Lord Yahweh liveth, and as thy soul liveth, I will not leave thee. So they went down to Bethel, and the sons of the prophets, and the sons of the prophets that were at Bethel came forth to Elisha, and said unto him, Knowest thou that the Lord will take away thy master from thy head today? And he said, Yea, I know it. Hold ye your peace. And Elijah said unto him, Elisha, tarry here, I pray thee, for the Lord Yahweh has sent me to Jericho. And he said, As the Lord Yahweh liveth, and as thy soul liveth, I will not leave thee. So they came to Jericho. And the sons of the prophets that were at Jericho came to Elisha, and said unto him, Knowest thou that the Lord Yahweh will take away thy master from thy head today? And he answered, I know. I know it. Hold ye your peace. And Elijah said unto him, Tarry, I pray thee here, for the Lord Yahweh has sent me to Jordan. And he said, As the Lord liveth, and as thy soul liveth, I will not leave thee. And they two went on. And the 50 men of the sons of the prophets went and stood to view afar off. And they too stood by Jordan. And Elijah took his mantle and wrapped it together and smote the waters, and they were divided hither and thither, so that they too went over the dry ground. And it came to pass, when they were gone over, that Elijah said unto Elisha, Ask, what shall I do for thee, before I be taken away from thee? And Elisha said, I pray thee, let a double portion of thy spirit be upon me. And he said, Thou hast asked a hard thing. Nevertheless, if thou see me when I am taken from thee, it shall be so unto thee. But if not, it shall not be so. And it came to pass, when they still went on and talked, that behold, that there appeared a chariot of fire, a old chariot of fire, and the horses of fire, and departed them both asunder. And Elijah went up by a whirlwind into heaven. So the Lord took Elijah into heaven. He took Elijah into heaven with the chariot. Alright, I'm going to read on. And Elisha saw it, and he cried, My father, the chariot of Israel, and the horsemen thereof. And he saw him no more. And he took hold of his own clothes and rent them in two pieces. He took up also the mantle of Elijah that fell from him, and went back and stood by the bank of Jordan. And he took the mantle of Elijah that fell from him and smote the waters and said, Where is the Lord, power of Elijah? And when he also had smitten the waters, they parted hither and thither, and Elisha went over. And when the sons of the prophets, which were to view at Jericho, saw him, they said, The spirit of Elijah doth rest on Elisha. And they came. Is it in verse 15? Second Kings verse 15, chapter 2, verse 15. It say, And when the sons of the prophets, which were to view that Jericho, saw him, they said, The spirit of Elijah doth rest on Elisha. And they came to meet him and bowed themselves to the ground before him. And they said unto him, Behold, now there be with thy servant 50 strong men. Let them go, we pray thee, and seek thy master, lest peradventure the spirit of the Lord had taken him up, and cast him upon some mountain, or into some valley. And he said, Ye shall not sin. And when they urged him till he was ashamed, he said, Sin. They sent therefore 50 men, and they sought 3 days, but found him not. And when they came again to him, for he tarried at Jericho, he said unto them, Did I say unto you, Go not? So, from 1 to 18, basically talking about Elijah going into the chariot, and Elisha asked a request from Elijah, put like double portion of your spirit with me. And it was on his mountain. And they saw the spirit of Elijah on Elisha, the other prophets. So, and Elisha told him not to go search for him, cause he knew that he went up to the chariot and he went up to the heavens with the Lord. So that's why he told them not to go and search for him. But he just got fed up. They kept asking, repeating. He said, You know what? Just go ahead, go look. You ain't gonna find nothing. He ain't say like that, but he basically saying, Man, just gonna look. You don't believe me. But yeah. I'm finna go to Matthew 11. Yeah, the spirit of Elijah was on Elisha. Now, it said, I'm gonna go back to 2 Kings. Look, I'm going back. And Elisha saw it. 2 Kings chapter 2, verse 11. It said, And it came to pass, as they still went on and talked it, that behold, there appeared a chariot of fire and horses of fire, and parted them both asunder. And Elijah went up by a whirlwind into heaven. He went up into heaven, so that he with the Lord. Matthew 11, chapter 12. Chapter 11, verse 12. I probably want to read Let's see. I'm gonna read from verse 1 all the way to 14. And it came to pass, when Yahushua had made an end of commanding his 12 disciples, he departed thence to teach and to preach in their cities. Now, when John had heard in the prison the works of Christ, he sent two of his disciples, and he said unto him, Art thou he that should come, or do we look for another? And Yahushua answered and said unto them, Go and show John again those things which ye do hear and see. The blind receive their sight, and the lame walk. The lepers are cleansed. The lepers are cleansed, and the deaf hear. The dead are raised up, and the poor have the gospel preached to them. And blessed is he whosoever shall not be offended in me. And as they departed, Yahushua began to say unto the multitudes concerning John, What went ye out into the wilderness to see? A reed shaken in the wind, shaken with the wind? But what went ye out for to see? A man clothed in soft raiment? Behold, they that wear soft clothing are in the king's house. But what went ye out for to see? A prophet? Yeah, I say unto you, and more than a prophet. For this is he of whom it is written, Behold, I send my messenger before thy face, which shall prepare thy way before thee. Truly, verily, verily means truly. Truly I say unto you, verily I say unto you, among them that are born of women, there hath not risen a greater than John the Baptist. Notwithstanding, he that is least in the kingdom of heaven is greater than he. And from the days of John the Baptist until now, the kingdom of heaven suffered violence, and the violent take it by force. For all the prophets and the law prophesying to John. Now this the Lord speaking right here. It's the Lord speaking the whole time. And if ye will receive it, this is Elijah, which was for to come. So Elijah the one that went up into the chariot in the whirlwind and head to heaven. And the Lord saying, if you receive it, this is Elijah which cometh from for to come. So he talking about John. And I'm gonna show you in Malachi. Is it Malachi, Luke? Malachi verse 4. Chapter 4, verse 5. Behold, I will send you Elijah, the prophet, before the coming of the great and dreadful day of the Lord. So he go send him before the great and dreadful day of the Lord. All right, we'll go to Luke. Because he was John. He the one that was John, and John was the one that could see the book, that opened up the book and seen all what the Lord could do. And he was terrified. Luke chapter 1, verse 13. Let me see if I want to read up some more. Yeah, I'm going to read from 5 all the way to 14. Wait, 17. There was in the days of Herod. Let me see. Yeah, Luke. In Luke chapter 1, verse 13. I'm going to read from verse 5. There was in the days of Herod, the king of Judea, a certain priest named Zacharias, of the course of Abiah, and his wife was of the daughters of Aaron, and her name was Elizabeth. Now you should see why the Lord said, if you receive it or not, this is Elijah. All right. It said there was in the days of Herod, the king of Judea, a certain priest named Zacharias, of the course of Abiah, and his wife was of the daughters of Aaron, and her name was Elizabeth. And they were both righteous before God, walking in all the commandments and the ordinance of the Lord Yahweh, blameless. And they had no child, because that Elizabeth was barren, and they both were now well stricken in years. And it came to pass that while he executed the priest's office before God in the order of his course, according to the custom of the priest's office, his lot was to burn incense when he went into the temple of the Lord. And the whole multitude of the people were praying without at the time of incense. And there appeared unto him an angel of the Lord, standing on the right side of the altar of incense. And when Zacharias saw him, bear with me. And when Zacharias saw him, he was troubled, and fear fell upon him. But the angel said unto him, Fear not, Zacharias, for thy prayer is heard, and thy wife Elizabeth shall bear thee a son, and thou shalt call his name John. And thou shalt have joy and gladness, and many shall rejoice at his birth. For he shall be great in the sight of the Lord, and shall drink neither wine nor strong drink. And he shall be filled with the Holy Ghost, even from his mother's womb. And many of the children of Israel shall he turn to the Lord their God. And he shall go before him in the spirit and the power of Elijah, to turn the hearts of their fathers to the children, and the disobedient to the wisdom of the just, to make ready a people prepared for the Lord. It even said right here, and he shall go before him in the spirit and power of Elijah to turn the hearts of the fathers to the children and the disobedient of the wisdom of the just, to make ready a people prepared for the Lord. So John was Elijah. Reincarnation is real. It tell you 2 Kings chapter 2 verse 12 tells you. Verse 12 tell you that he went into the whirlwind. He went to heaven through the chariot. Matthew 11 and through Matthew 1 through 14. The Lord even said it. Verse 14. Matthew 11, verse 14. He even said it. If you receive it, this is Elijah. And now, right here, in Luke chapter, in Luke chapter 1 verse 17 tell you. It tell you right here. And he shall go forth in the spirit of Elijah. That's Elijah. That's Elijah that speak. That's Elijah's spirit. So it's like basically just saying like reincarnation is real. It might not be like many times, but ain't like, oh, this prophet got da 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 da. No, just know that it's real. And not stating like, probably not more than once, but if it's stating once, it means it's real. Like, cause it said, and it said Malachi 4:5. Behold, I will send you Elijah the prophet for the coming of the great and dreadful day of the Lord. Like, it's right there. So we go to John. Like, it's not no need for me to keep going. Like, John chapter 1 verse 21. I might read up. Let me see. And they asked about him, what then? Art thou Elias? And he said, I am not. Art thou that prophet? And he answered, no. Then he said unto him, who art thou, that we may give answer to them that sent us? What sayest thou of thyself? And he said, I am the voice of one crying in the wilderness, make straight the way of the Lord, as said the prophet Elijah. So reincarnation is real. He just said a whole statement what Elijah said. So the that's all I got for the lesson today. I'm just end it off right here. Oh, really, y'all got the understanding, knowledge, and wisdom of the lesson. I'm gonna just say, just stay strong in the truth. Ain't too long. Not too long for we to get back to the kingdom and our Lord and our power. Yeah. Shalom.